Alright, so over the past several days, KU has announced numerous leaks about their upcoming mega update that they have planned, and to be honest, some of these features do look pretty good. However, as you read the title, this update, while has plenty of potential to be good, also has a lot of potential to completely ruin the game. Okay, this video was meant to cover all the pros and cons of this update and how this mega update will either make or break the game regardless of the effect it leaves on the game. Said effect will last for quite some time, whether that be success or failure. Now, let's begin this video by quickly going over all of the new features planned for this update, and I'm basically just going to be balancing out the positive and negative aspects of adding such a feature. Begin with probably the most controversial addition to this update, which are traits. Traits are planned to be a new addition to the game that will compose of special additions to a new kaiju that will add special enhancements to a kaiju upon selection. From my understanding, there are 16 traits for each kaiju, and you unlock traits from, leveling. Like getting to level 25 will unlock 4 traits, and then so on and so forth. You get the point. It's kind of like Rose, Bio, and Vudon, where every 25 levels unlock something, but it's a bit more complex than that. And, well, yeah, people are very mixed on this feature. Some people are happy that we finally have a new aspect for combat that's being implemented, while others fear for the meta of the game. And I actually agree with the first mix of people. Yeah, surprising, I know. Traits, okay, from my point of view, traits, they seem like a new and exciting addition to the game, and I'm genuinely curious to see how the devs go along with them. But my excitement for these traits, they do not come without caution. Like, my overall view on the update itself, traits, they have potential to ruin the game or make it infinitely more exciting. And for this feature, I'm very excited to see where they take traits, and, well, based on the few examples that I'm listing on screen right now, some of them look good, some of them look bad, but all of them look exciting. Next up, we have Kaiju revisions. As you see on screen, revisions are going to be a softer version of revamps or rescripts. Examples of these include Akatsume and Seiryu from the Dredger update. My opinions on revisions are simple. This is a good change. Now, this is something we need, as plenty of these current kaijus are updated and made in 2023, even 2022. These revisions are something we absolutely need. However, I have a serious distaste for the recent and only revisions so far with Seiryu and Akatsume. Well, because they're not good. They made the kaijus a lot more unfun. They made it infinitely more unbalanced. And in the case with Akatsume, him moving during these attacks, this just looks unprofessional and unnatural. And in the case with Seiryu, it just became one of the most overpowered kaijus in the game. And to my knowledge, it still pretty much is, but who knows, maybe these two revisions are just missteps along a much larger road of good, efficient revisions that will make old, outdated kaijus more interesting, but only time will tell. This is what I think though. Akatsume and Seiryu were two mistakes of revisions, and future revisions will be a lot better in comparison. Moving on to the upcoming rescripts, these compose of Thermo, Raigar, Karim, Zartan, Aurath, Garmadra, and Typhon. Now, I'll go over Typh first because this is the one that we know the least about. Based off what is on screen right now, the Typh rescript will replace the heal ability with a temporary invincibility and build up magma armor, which I assume will give you damage reduction. And once you have enough magma armor, you can use an ability to drain up all of your magma armor. For a new fire-related moveset, this can be both a good thing and a bad thing, and I will explain, but I will just like to make it clear that knowing KU, I think this change is absolutely the wrong way to go about for Typhon, and I'll explain. I'll keep it simple. If we're just giving Typh's current moveset fire effect and damage buff, this will be absolute slop. Status effects are pretty much the worst aspect in KU balancing that turn miserable, weak kaiju like Scythe into an absolute endgame killer, and a fluffy, fast kaiju like Cleric into a DPS machine. Status effects need major revamping. They are outdated. They have been the same for 4 years, if not longer. Nobody likes them. Give status effects a proper revamp before giving any random kaiju status effects, especially when KU has a major balancing problem and an even more so major balancing problem with early games. Now, the other changes about like his dash moving in every direction and the size increase, it's fine. It doesn't really change much at all. Yeah, overall, the Typh revamp, if it is what I think it's gonna be, I think this is an absolute misstep for Typh. I think it's not just a misstep, I think it's like just repeating bad balancing decisions, really. The other changes, they're fine, but they don't really do much, and like their quality of life changes, essentially. Now, I'm gonna go with another rescript that I absolutely hate, and it is the Garmadra 2.0 rescript. Now, the original rescript for Garm was pretty much one of the worst changes in the entire game's history, and easily the worst rescript we've had so far. It turned a simple, fun brawler Kaiju into a severely complicated Kaiju that was buggy as hell. It had a bunch of asterisks on its strength power. It was annoying as fuck in public servers, and it simply made the Kaiju worse in balancing and in quality. At 0 GPA, Garmadra is basically useless, and with high DPS... Did I say DPS? With high GPA, your pulse does an instant 2,000 damage to pretty much every Kaiju in remote proximity. It is an utter disaster. Here is a clip of release Garmadra's pulse doing 5,000 damage with island level range. To this day, I still can't believe this is something we've got in 2025 Kaiju universe. That is absurd. Now, in this message, it says, the highly controversial changes made to Garmadra a few updates ago. No, this is just incorrect. It was not controversial. It was blatantly bad. Nobody liked it. It said the game is bouncing back by 4 years, and it made one of the most immersive, lovable Kaiju in the entire game. Lame and boring. Anyways, yeah, this rescript basically it aims to make Garm more weak. I guess it wants to make Garm good at base, which is indeed a good addition, but it simply begs the question on what even is the importance of keeping this GPA system. Just revert the Garmadra changes. If you're going out of your way to make the GPA system more easy to manage by buffing the strength from 0% GPA to 75, you know, this fixes the aspect of Garmadra being weak with the new GPA system and does nothing about Garmadra being an overpowered demon at max GPA that can do 2,000 damage to every Kaiju in Tokyo. The changes they are doing to Garmadra are the changes that they should have done from the beginning. As far as we know, this Garmadra rescript does nothing to the Kaiju but make it not weak while still keeping the broken, unbalanced aspect of Garmadra with high GPA. The simple solution entirely is to just remove the GPA system entirely. For me, the appeal of Garmadra that caused me to gain more total XP on him than pretty much any other original was simplicity. One of my biggest fears of KU moving toward their hyper focus on making every Kaiju complex and difficult to truly understand. Whereas if you look at the Kaijus that are actually used in game, it's always Vargoth, it was Garmadra, Hestetus, Kumora, Kaijus that are simple, easy to understand, and have a clear-cut playstyle. And they're just ruining any appeal for me to use, well, for me and anyone else to really use Garmadra. And yeah, those are my main issues with the rescript. To summarize it, it just adds nothing to the Kaiju but polish up some balancing while ignoring the real reason why the rescript in general was so bad. Yeah, it's just completely like 4th grade level, low IQ balancing decision. It's atrocious, man. Now, I will actually talk about probably the only rescript here that I really like. It's the Thermo rescript. Now, on paper, this rescript looks really good. It makes Thermo's lame-ass bar actually interesting to use, while also maintaining a bit of simplicity to it. More equals better, but reaching the maximum equals bad. It's like the old Thermo bar, which is genuinely crazy that it took us 3 years to get to here, man. 3 years. Yeah, and anyways, I digress. One major positive about this rescript is that they are actually removing that horrible beam attack. Giving Thermo a beam was one of the worst development decisions in this entire game's history. Just imagine if they gave old Thermo Godzilla beam. Giving a high DPS regen-centered Kaiju like Thermo beam would have made it the best land Kaiju without a sliver of a doubt. So I'm glad they're finally ridding this game of that awful beam. In summary, the Thermo rescript is a good change, and I hope that they go through with this and don't mess it up, because seriously, Thermo has been one of the lamest and most unbalanced Kaiju consistently for the past 2 years, well, 2.5 years really. Oh, and so I don't end up taking too much time on this, I will leave the Rescript document links for all of the rebalances so far in the description so that you can read them at your own leisure. Next up is Raigar. Now, this one I'm fairly mixed on. I'll go over what I dislike about it first. All of the changes in this document pertaining to rebalances and such, now these are mostly bad, especially the A3 ones. Part of what makes Raigar's playstyle so fun to fight against is that it has a dash that can give it one large boost of distance, and a fun aspect about fighting Raigars is being able to bait the ability and abuse the cooldown, which also means that the Raigar has to play smart. Them doing the change they plan to do with the A3, which is shortening the cooldown and decreasing the range, makes no sense at all. At this rate, just scrap the ability altogether. I don't think anyone would prefer having a small spammable dash over a good dash with a decent cooldown. All this will do is make a large slow kaiju like Raigar and infinitely more pain to deal with, and don't forget this will affect water as well. The A4 changes are good on paper, but when you look at what we're actually replacing the V ability with, it makes things a lot worse. Now, what they plan to do is move Abyssal Crush to the V ability, essentially making it usable whenever. This is good and all for the Raigar, but it is absolute hell for anyone planning on fighting a Raigar. Now, people fighting Raigar, they will now have no warning of when Raigar will use its Abyssal Crush, which is a major combo move, unlike before where you could somewhat predict when the Raigar could use the Abyssal Crush by either seeing Raigar use A1 twice or the Tail Whip. I don't think I have to explain why this is bad from a balancing perspective when Raigar, ever since its release, has always been one of the most overtuned and unbalanced kaiju in-game. What this does is it makes Raigar more unpredictable. It gives Raigar the edge in hand, which it really doesn't deserve because of how broken Raigar is right now, and has always been. So, yeah, I just wanted to make you guys see where I'm coming from when I say that this new V ability change is it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why anyone would approve of this or why anyone would even come up with this. I digress. Now we have something that I actually like about this Raigar Rescript, which is Dredge Mode. Now, in short, this will make Raigar hyper fast, and it will rework some of its abilities. For one, its A1 will be much faster and will be spammable. Its A2 will have more knockback and no secondary mode, and the A3 will be fine, I suppose, unless the toddler balancers decide to change anything from it, which will more than likely ruin it. But the best aspect of Dredge Mode is what happens when you fail to defeat your enemies, as the document states. Weakness 2, Debility 2, Fatigue 2, Weakness 2 again, whatever that means, and Slowness 4 for 10 seconds. Fatigue must be a new status effect coming to the game, and Weakness twice. Wow, the person who wrote this doc is an absolute genius, an absolute talent over here. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the only good change about the Raigar thing, is like the addition of Dredge Mode. It's cool or whatever. The rebalance changes absolutely suck though. Anyways, the next Rescript we will be going over today is the Aurath one. Now, I am entirely sure that they will be scrapping Aurath for a Kujin, a much superior starter kaiju, but in the slim possibility the devs have a lapse in judgment and decide to keep this mess of a kaiju in Aurath, I will quickly be going over this horrible Rescript. In short, Aurath will be getting a new bar because, of course it is. There will heavily be a new status effect that, as the document states, will inflict blur screen, mild slowness, and rage bait. Yeah, rage bait. You read that right. You heard me right. Rage bait, because it's so cool and quirky. It's hard to take this seriously. It's hard to take the development of the game seriously when one of the reasons they listed the status effect's existence is rage bait. This is disgusting. This is actually worse than Gaber. Just make the status effect give light slowness. There is no reason to piss off your remaining small fanboys. Yeah, anyways, I digress. Again, there is a large chance in the next update that they delete Aurath permanently, but in the off chance they don't, we might be looking at one of the worst Rescripts of the game. Yes, almost as bad as Garmadra. The Rescript has other changes for the reason that this video doesn't become bloated like Zaratan. We will be moving on to the next Rescript, which is a Carimoch one, which is a flyer. Yeah, in short, this Rescript is terrible. It basically just gives a broken flyer like Karim a land option, further making the problem with flyers, which is an overall balancing problem, much worse. This ultimately suffers with the same issue as the Typh Rescript. The problem isn't with the actual Kaiju, it is with the balancing of said Kaiju. All of the issues with Typh and Carimoch come from balancing, not the actual quality of the Kaiju, and these changes will further make the balancing problem much more apparent. And with the Zartan Rescript, yeah, this is just garbage. Zartan will have a new bar called Noxious Toxin with a max cap of 100. Well, you're going to see the Rescript on screen here, but like I said previously, one of the biggest flaws with Kayu's balancing is status effects, and the most unbalanced of them all is the Toxin status effect, which allowed an early game Kaiju to be anti-endgame. Kaiju like Gamora and Goliath, they need regen 9 to even counter this. Absolutely disgusting. Now, what this Zartan Rescript will do is it will make another early game Kaiju abuse this status effect. And what I find most funny is that they took this Rescript from a fan suggestion, from Zen of all people. For those who don't know Zen, in old Kaiju universe, Zen helped make one of the most atrocious tier lists in the game with the help of Caldwell Bald. Man, who would listen to this guy? This Rescript is a balancing atrocity, and it would further ruin Zartan, which up until the recent rebalance wave was viewed as one of the most balanced Kaiju in the entire game, which isn't saying much, but still. Now, that is all the Rescripts that are announced to my knowledge. I will leave all the document links in the description for you to read and make your own thoughts. I personally don't like any of them except for the Thermo mode, and I like some of the ones in the Raigar mode, but the Thermo one is definitely like a lot better. Now we will move on to the next set of features that were announced to come in the Mega Update. To start off, we have 180 unique traits, 71 new daily missions, and 121 new achievements. I already gave my thoughts on traits, but the mission thing is a good thing, although I personally don't do missions because I like to maintain a good G-cell to kill ratio, but this is a correct addition. The missions that we have now are old, outdated, and lame, and achievements are... they're just not there. Just look at the current achievement menu. It's buggy, it's lame, there's nothing for you to do. By polishing up missions and achievements, this provides room for new things to do with said missions and achievements. These are good changes. Next, we have a bunch of quality and life changes planned for the game. So here is the list. Add universal walking and running sounds. This is a good change. We've been waiting for this since like 2024. Like, better late than never, I suppose. Add oceanic and wind currents as speed boosts around the map, connecting the islands and other noteworthy areas. Yeah, this will be abused by players and runners. Overall, in concept, it's okay, but it will probably be buggy as hell, as KU always is. Make all land speeds faster by 10%. Yeah, this is an atrocious change that I need to rant to, but I'll get into this later. Next change, sprinting should be on by default. This is a good change. I don't have anything more to say about this. Add better and competitive beam clashing, something like mashing spacebar or hitting the right buttons at the right. This would be useless. Like, what? Like, no point in doing this. This is garbage. Fix the reported streaming issue. My FPS and ping is fine, but I can't move. What the hell is this? Yeah, I don't know what that means. Add a map of the entire map accessible by clicking on the minimap. This is a good change, but I don't use the minimap, so it's whatever. Put locations like Tokyo, etc. on the minimap. This is another good change. Fix aim assist not working on non-players. Again, I don't know what this is. I really don't. Enable cleave. One of the best features that was planned for this game. If you don't know what this is, it basically makes building running much weaker. This is a good thing. Gives Stezi a gun and make sure Cypheos Mushroom is, whatever that means. Increase the passive healing rate when standing still. If it's standing still, that's fine, but please don't make it affect walking. Cobble Ball, Darker Night, we work the entire nighttime lighting. Yeah, I'm very curious on how they handle this, but on paper, it should be a good change. Bigger cities, yes. Make the buildings in cities taller, yes. I know the last two changes are going to make a lot of nerds very angry, so then so be it. The buildings are beyond annoying, and I'm sure making them larger will be a lot better to just move around, you know. Now, I want to talk about one change here that is absolutely horrible. making all land kaiju faster by 10%. I want to show you exactly what this will do. By making all kaiju 10% faster, this means we will get a near 40 base speed Nutcracker, a near 38 base speed Female, and Sakura has much more, really. This change is completely unnecessary, and while it won't completely ruin the game, it will make a lot of slower kaiju appear much faster, a lot of faster kaiju appear more fast than they ever need to be, and I'm not even taking into account speed points. This is just the base speed of the land kaijus, and not even mentioning that this will also affect flyers that can walk and even sprint on land, which further makes the bouncing issue on flyers more apparent, like we covered earlier. Now, I know they want to do this because of the flying changes that they did, but the flying changes, the flying speed changes, those were made because flyers were so bad back then. Land kaijus are perfectly fine, and they do not need a speed buff to match flyers. I feel like this game, when it comes to balancing, they're just trying to self-sabotage themselves because they really they seem allergic to good changes. That's really what I'm trying to say. Anyways, this is all I have to say about the quality of life features. Most of them look good. One of them looks absolutely horrible. And of course, we cannot forget the fact that they will be adding 3 new kaijus, a mid-game and 2 early games. There is nothing wrong with this. New kaijus are always better. I just hope that Akujin completely replaces Aurath once and for all. We also have 2 major polls. One of them will make newer players give rewards upon combat, but in turn they will receive damage reduction. This is the best possible scenario. I don't think I have to talk much on why this change is so good. And we will also have a new menu eye that just looks incredible, as well as this death screen, which is my personal new favorite feature in the mega update. And what else? Oh yeah, the second poll that we were going to talk about is going to make kaijus bigger whenever they level. This is a horrible change. I don't know why they would ever even ask for that. And if it does get added in the game, it might ruin the game forever. I'm not even going to lie. Not to be negative, it's just on paper, it just does not sound like a good addition, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much it for the mega update as far as I know. We have pretty much no information on boss fights, which were supposed to come out months ago as the week 10 update. Yeah, bro, I think it's been a lot more than 10 weeks. You know, when it comes to KU development, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it has ever been necessarily consistent. And when they announced the week 10 update, not just the week 10 update, but the entire roadmap with boss fights as week 10, I was genuinely curious, not just if the boss fights were going to be good, but if they were going to pull through with it. I had speculations, but overall I thought they were going to be fine. I didn't think they were incompetent enough to talk about a feature that was not planned to come out within months. Now, I know the roadmap has had many issues. The developers have been sick. I'm pretty sure Vera had to go to the hospital once for an emergency. It has definitely had its gripes, but I guarantee you there is nothing that has happened that can genuinely warrant them announcing a feature months before it's even ready to be shown. Like, that is, like, genuinely bad development. That's no asterisks on it. That is just straight up bad development coming from the devs. Their lack of communication has always been an issue. This is not a post DMCA thing. Their lack of communication has been horrible since the game has started, and I don't think it'll ever change. As much as they want to act like it's changing, it's not going to change, right? All they did was they got Cobalt, who teases things. They're like teasing things to like their 400 players that still play. I don't know why, like spoiling some features. It's really not that bad, but you know, man, they haven't even addressed boss fights at all, I don't think, which is again bad development. They're just announcing features that not many people really care for. I'm not one of those people that doesn't really care for them. I think the new features all look good, but well, not all of them, but most of them. Just not saying anything about the boss fights, which, man, okay, I think I got my point across. Just straight up bad development. Anyways, now that we went through all the major upcoming features, which in quality can be summed up to
some good, some bad, some very bad.
We now have to answer a major question that is probably on everyone's mind. Will this update be a success, Or will it be dead on arrival, as many people are expecting? And the answer to that is simple. Only time will tell. Only time will tell if the teasers are sufficient enough to get people excited for such an update. Only time will tell if all these features come out polished or with a bunch of bugs added to it. Only time will tell if the horribly balanced rescripts come out looking as they are on paper and overshadow pretty much everything else. Only time will tell if too much time has passed for this update to generate any sort of hype whatsoever. Now, I can confidently say that I think regardless of the atrocious rescripts, that this update will in fact be a good update, simply looking at all the quality of life aspects of the update. But that's not taking into consideration that this update will more than likely flop. However, I do think that the update being good is simply enough. First, let me talk about why I think this update will flop. We have not gotten a proper update since April, and the game's player count has consistently been low. It has been like in the 400 to 500 range. Sometimes it gets lower into like the 200, 300. I generally have not seen the game's player count exceed 500 or like enter the 600 zone, which is very bad because in 2025, excluding the first few months where we were in a drought, in 2025 it did not get that bad. It really did not. Even in the later months, like the November, the December, when the game didn't update, it did not go down to 300. It did not go down to 400. It was in the 700, 800 range, maybe even the 900 on a good day. No, it was never this bad. The only time the game has ever had this bad in terms of numbers was 2024. That is objective. You can check the game's statistics. KU is at an all-time low in terms of player count. There is no denying that. And yes, considering we did not get any update since April, regardless, I don't think that this update will necessarily flop. I think it will break 1,000, maybe 2,000 players at most if they market it properly. There is no chance this gets more players than week 9, especially if they don't include boss fights, because that's always going to be a question. And whether it maintains the player count entirely depends on the quality aspects of this update, whether everything comes out polished or not. That will dictate if the update continues to bring the game success. Ultimately, it's down to the developers to perfect it, take their time with it, and market it properly, make sure everything is good, make sure everything is polished. Because if this update is bad, I don't think that this game will survive. I really don't. If this update is bad, it will have lasting effects on the game forever. And if the update is good, regardless of if it flops or not, it will have great effects on the game. The entire point of this video isn't to dunk on the mega update. It is to show the pros and cons, to show you why this game still has juice in it to survive, and to show why this game, like the mega update, all the teasers, everything we've got so far, it perfectly captures the flaws and, you know, the benefits of these devs. They're talented for sure, but, you know, they're inconsistent. And this is an update where they cannot be inconsistent, and they have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They have to be great. They have to get most things right, because if something comes out buggy, if a major feature comes out unintended, it will have lasting effects. If this update is bad, I don't think KU is going to be alive for at least another year. But if the update is good, what it does, even if it flops, what it does is it builds back trust. If this update is good, which is what they should aim it for, well, ideally they should aim it for both the success and a good update, which I think is completely unrealistic. Just look at the Dredger update. That update was very bad in retrospect, but it was a success. It was an undeniable success. But the mega update, or the Doomsday update as I like to call it, it has a lot riding on it. It's introducing 3 new kaiju. It's introducing a bunch of quality of life changes. It's gonna introduce so many new features. So again, they have a lot riding on it. We should all turn up, show our support for it. But we need to be brave enough to call out when we think that something will not succeed. So that's really all I have to talk about today. This update has so much riding on it, and it will either make or break the game, and this update will tell us if KU is a game worthy to survive despite all of the controversy, despite all of the changes, and despite all of the copyright strikes, or if this game was truly reliant on the hype of the Godzilla verse. Only time will tell, and this update will be a massive telling of what this game is capable of. That is all I have to say for now, and I'll see you next time.